I'm going to call the meeting to order, please. Agenda item 2.1, adoption of the agenda for the October 24th, 2017 regular meeting of council. Okay, Salt and Reimer. Are there any additions or amendments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Agenda item 3.1, adoption of the minutes of the October 10, 2017 regular meeting of council, that they be adopted as presented. Okay, Councillor Reimer and Councillor Blanchette. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 4.1, we have a public hearing with respect to street vendor permit 02-17, alternative location application for the Funky Goat Eatery. And so I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'll start with the statement. A public hearing is being convened pursuant to the terms of the Local Government Act prior to Council's consideration of the following: final approval of street vendor permit 02-17 alternative location application for the Funky Goat Eatery. At a public hearing, any person present who believes that his or her interest in property may be affected by a matter being considered shall be given an opportunity to be heard on the matter contained in the proposal. However, it is important that all who speak at this meeting restrict their remarks to matters contained in the proposal, and it is my responsibility as chairperson of this meeting to ensure that all remarks are so restricted. Those of you who wish to speak concerning the proposal should, at the appropriate time, commence your address to the council and meeting by clearly stating your name. Then you may give us the benefit of your views concerning the proposal. Members of council may, if they so wish, ask questions of you following your presentation. However, the main function of the council members this evening is to listen to the views of the public. It is not the function of council at a public hearing to debate the merits of a proposal. Everyone who deems his or her interest in property to be affected shall be given the opportunity to be heard at this meeting. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making his or her views known. At the conclusion of a public hearing, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representation made at the hearing. During the course of a public hearing, people sometimes tend to become enthusiastic or emotional. Regardless of whether you favor or oppose any particular application or argument, please refrain from applause or other expressions of emotion. Restraint enables others whose views may or may not coincide with your own to exercise their right to express their views, and enables all views expressed to be heard in as impartial a forum as possible. Okay. And I am now asking for a verbal report by staff. Corporate Services Clerk Carleena will make a presentation with respect to the street vendor permit application by the Funky Goat Eatery.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, everyone. This evening's public hearing is in regards to the Funky Goat Eatery. For the past 3.5 years, David Grant, owner of the Funky Goat, has operated his food truck at 1214 5th Avenue, beside the former Shop Easy building. As this location is no longer available, Mr. Grant is now requesting permission from council to operate at 1170 5th Avenue, legally described as Lot 2, District Lot 9778, Character District Plan PGP 35390. For perspective, this is in between the new Goat Newspaper's office and the brewery. Council first considered this request at the October 10th regular meeting, at which time staff were directed to schedule this evening's public hearing and to notify adjacent property owners of the proposed new street vendor location. Council will now receive public feedback prior to final consideration of the permit.
Thank you. Number 3, reading aloud of written submissions received prior to proceedings. Ms. Shepherd?
I have none, thank you.
There are none. And is the proponent present? No. And are there any submissions and presentations by the public? Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing. If no major issues arise from the public hearing, it would be in order to move the recommendation. Councillors Blanchette and Salt. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 5.1, we have a presentation, delegation from the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 266. Mr. President. And you want council to come forward first or
Actually,
after?
I'll have you come first forward. So anyway, thank you to your worship and council for having us. As you may or may not be aware, this week is the kickoff of our national poppy campaign. The national kickoff is on Friday, but we do ceremonial presentations leading up to it. So at this time, I'd call upon your worship to come forward and accept the first poppy.
Okay, thank you.
Gord wants us both facing this way.
Okay. We always do what Gord says, right?
So thank you very much for having us.
It's our pleasure.
Hands are off here.
It's our pleasure.
That one good, yeah.
We're good. Okay, thank you.
And I always, to stay out of trouble, I do it in alphabetical order.
Oh, okay. Or we can do it as a group and then nobody.
Okay,
nobody-
all right, all right.
So if the rest of the council and staff come forward, we'll do a quick poppy presentation. Please first.
I'll just wait till they're all pinned on.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Try not to get any blood on the white shirt.
Your staff.
Yours better be. Kevlar. I'm thinking. Thank you. Oh, very full. Big hole in the fancy suit.
Thank you, Mr. President. Come on, do a thimble.
Wow.
I wonder if,
Very much, Mr. President.
I wonder if we should.
Scoot the sides a little.
Just all of you get together. Sure.
Make a gap.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see what we can do.
I'm wearing my
here.
poppy,
Light is gonna
yes.
shine right in me here, it's right in my eyes. This is not gonna be a very good photograph. It's too far back. I need you all closer together.
Okay.
Maybe they could come here
Maybe they
in
could.
front. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, and with the president too. There we go. How's that? Is that better?
Let's see what we can do here.
Do you want me to stand? How's that?
That's probably gonna be a little bit better. I should have one that'll work. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Handy.
Thank you. So now, council and everyone, having been pinned by the president of the Legion, we all know exactly where we're supposed to wear them. The poppies. Right? Okay. So I'll take a motion, please, that the delegation by the Royal Canadian Legion be received. Blanchette and Reimer. Any discussion? Comments?
Thank you.
It's a privilege.
Yes. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
All in favor? Carried. And agenda item 7.1, BC Natural Resource Forum. And this is the forum that Councillor Reimer attended on my behalf last year as the alternate or the acting mayor. And is there anybody on council that feels that they would benefit to attend this? Councillor Reimer.
Unfortunately, the dates for this year, I think aren't going to work out for me because we will just be back from an exploratory trip all the way south
Okay.
down to the Antarctica.
Okay.
And we'll just be on our way back, I believe, so we're going to see the natural resources of that part of the world.
We look forward to your meeting. report. I think it's the same time as, the same week as the Regional District of Fraser Fort George Board meeting, the 18th. So I did receive a personal invitation, I think in August. And the invitation is on my desk, but if there's any council member that wishes to attend, if it's in the budget. Okay.
Certainly it's well worth going to.
Okay. Yeah, okay. But it is, as I say, it's the same week as the Regional District of Fraser Fort George, and so my expenses are already paid. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right. So, recommendation that it be confirmed which members of council will be attending the BC Natural Resource Forum in Prince George in January 2018. We don't really need a motion on that at this point, do we?
Are you going?
Well, I'm there for Regional District anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I shall attend. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just take a motion, I guess, that confirming that I'm attending. Okay. Blanchette and Reimer, all in favor? Carried. Okay, 7.2. We have the community Christmas tree. There's a recommendation that the requests from the Christmas Tree Committee be approved, provided that the committee and the Valemount Community Forest are to be wholly responsible for all aspects of the installation and removal of the Christmas tree, signs, decorations, etc., under the supervision of the Village Public Works. Motion, please, Torgerson and Salt. Is there any discussion? Last year was very successful, Mr. Peters, and very much appreciated by all who attended. And we want to thank you for your organizational work and volunteer time. Okay? All right, so all in favor? Carried. Reading file. Is there anything that council wishes to bring forward? All right, we'll go on to 9.1, utility rates. Director of Finance, Laurie McNee, will present utility rate information prior to council's consideration of this matter. Ms. McNee, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I have a presentation this evening. It's being provided to council, and it's in regards to an increase in utility rates. The information that's presented is based on a study that was presented by FCS Group in 2016. They did a big study on the water rates, what was needed for operating costs and future infrastructure. As previously, council has always been determined to have infrastructure as one of their main objectives. And able to do that, ensuring that it is reliable and available now and in the future is a must. I'm just going to start off with the water rates. Some of the costs, I know some people don't understand all of the costs that are associated with water, sewer, and garbage. Some of the ones that I've written down, but not inclusive whatsoever, Public Works wages and benefits, their training that they need to take every year, permits that we are required to have in order to operate the facilities, hydro, telephone insurance, alarm systems, computer and softwares, chemicals, etc. The maintenance and replacements of assets that we have are the water intake, the pump house, piping, water treatment plant, and fire hydrants. The main thing we want to prevent is infrastructure failure from happening. The other item is sewage. Again, some of the costs associated with sewage, wages and benefits, training, certification, permits, computer software, etc. The maintenance and replacement of assets we have, the sewer plant, we have polishing ponds, lift stations, and piping. And again, infrastructure failure is what we're trying to avoid. Garbage. Before I go on, FCS did the study on water only. We implemented that same study into the sewer, but garbage is a different aspect, so we've done a smaller increase for this. We didn't need as much. When we purchased the garbage truck and the bins, we redid the budget to incorporate that asset into that budget. So costs associated with the garbage, again, Public Works wages and benefits. We have insurance on all of our vehicles, fuel, tipping fees at regional district when we take the garbage to the regional district transfer station. Maintenance and replacement of assets are the 2 garbage trucks that we currently have and the garbage bins. Again, infrastructure failure, though it's not infrastructure, it is a service that we don't want to have stopped for any reason, whether it's a breakdown in equipment or the bins. Our current funding concerns, a lot of our infrastructure is 40 years old. Although not all of it, a lot of it is. New provincial and reporting requirements, we need testing, creates additional administration for both staff in-house and the Public Works have a lot of additional. Accountability and transparency has led to this. New standards and codes, WorkSafe and regulations. We need certified electricians when we open any of our lift stations. It can't just be our Public Works. If they're going into a confined space, we need 3 men at the scene at all times. It can't just be 1 going in. It's all safety concerns. We are also trying to have each Public Works member certified in both departments with water and sewer, just that we always have that certified person on hand. Why fees and changes need to increase? We need to increase our reserves. I understand that there's many grants out there, but with a grant, the village is responsible for 25 to 33% of the grant portion of that. Just a quick estimate, if we have a $1 million lift station that needs to be replaced, the village has to come up with $330,000. We also want to have money for studies and consultants, so we are grant ready. One example is we just had the lift station and piping sewer inspections, where we have a company come in, they put cameras down the pipes, we can see if there's any problems. They let us know where the problem areas is, when we have to have it replaced, how serious it is. It also allows us to see into property lines, so we can see if there's any illegal dumping. An example would be a restaurant with thick grease in that pipe. We can actually pinpoint it and contact them.
I would like to just interject.
Yes.
A minute. That on Cranberry Place, about 1.5 years ago, the sewage lift station had to be serviced, and the Public Works staff and the contractor that helped to clear it out found a shower curtain.
Yes, you'd be amazed at what is in the lift stations.
Yes. So, yes. And I'm sure that cost quite a bit of money to have that serviced.
It does. It ruins the pumps. They have to be reset. You have Public Works going out over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe they've actually found chains in the lift stations in the sewer plant.
Okay.
We'd like to put more effort into long-term maintenance just to provide longer lifetime of the infrastructure. An example is crack sealing all of our roads. It gives us another 5-10 years depending on the road, so we can expand that. I touched on this previously with safety codes again, the certification, electricity WorkSafe requirements, and ongoing training. The operating costs, BC Hydro, everyone knows, is increasing significantly. We need to keep our wages comparable so that we keep our staff, the ones that we have here. Chemicals, parts, security, cell service, they're all common expenses that keep increasing. Another thing I've always heard is back in the day, we didn't have to pay that much. Back in the day, we did not own as much infrastructure as we did, or as we do now. Since I've been here, the water treatment plant is a huge asset that we've gained, which is almost $3 million. Does council have any questions before I proceed?
No, I should just like to comment on the fact that the village has to have 1/3 if we seek a grant. As you say, that water filtration plant cost just under $3 million. And the federal government gave $1 million, and the provincial government gave $1 million, and the village had to supply the rest.
Correct.
So.
And of course, there wasn't enough in reserve, so the village took out a loan.
That's right.
And which is now being paid by every property owner as a parcel tax.
That's right. And even though it's only at, what, about 3% from MFA?
I'd have to look. I actually have a slide showing how much we paid in that.
And the interest is still over $500,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that all has to be covered by utility rates.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Okay.
So FCS was hired to conduct the study. My apologies, it was only on the water utility rates, and we just incorporated it into the sewer. Council agreed last year to implement scenario 2A, which was a 9.5% increase for 9 years, then 3% after that. There was a stipulation that it was only for 1 year. and that staff was to bring the information back to review again. So here we are. These are the scenarios that were presented by FCS, and their recommendation was, of course, scenario 2A. If council continues with this same proposed rate, the 9.5 for water and sewer and a 3% increase for garbage, the new rates will be $851.74, and this is for a garbage can that's 65 gallons. Of course, if you have a 35 gallon, it will be decreased. The additional cost from 2017 to 2018 is $65.38. If you incorporate the utility rate, utility discount, it's less $68 on top of that. I like to break it down yearly, monthly, daily, just so people understand what they're getting for the service on that rate. So I have broken it down here. So you can see the yearly is $851, monthly $70, weekly $16, daily $2.33. With the discount yearly, it's $783. Just to compare that with other household utilities or costs, I've listed a few. Hydro, $100 a month is an average that I've seen. Same with car insurance, cell, TV, internet, home insurance. They're all roughly around an average the same as what we get for water, sewer, and garbage, which are essential benefits to the consumer and residents. So the revenues that are generated from this rate increase, I just wanted to explain that the water rates have not increased since 2014, sewer rates from 2011. So when we first set this in 2017, we were behind the 8 ball. We were using reserves to cover expenses. Let's see here. Approximately $300,000 is needed to cover the water expenses a year. With the 9.5 increase, we'll actually be bringing in revenues to go towards the reserves account, sorry. I have $20,000 to go in 2018, and in 2019, if this proceeds, we'll have an additional $40,000. So at the end of 2019, it'll be $60,000 in reserves added to what we currently have. Unfortunately, the sewer rates, because we haven't increased it for a while, we're still catching up. So $0 will be going to reserves for 2018 and 2019. We'll be catching up, and it'll just cover expenses, and then we can start gaining on that. Anything less than a 9.5% increase for sewer is going to be a reversal. So you're going to be depleting the reserve account we currently have. If it also happens, that means when we do an increase, it's going to have to be more than 9.5%. Reserves again, the 9.5% was going to 2019 to 2025, and then it would drop to a 3% after that. Currently, I'm actually asking only for 2018 and 2019 to be approved. Currently, right now, we have $300,000 in reserves for water, $370,000 in sewer. I just calculated the sewer. We're actually using about $230,000 of that for the lift station on 5th Avenue. So that'll be depleted to about, what is that? 2.4, thank you. So after the 20-year progress with all of the amounts and the 9.5% increase every year, at the end of 2036, we'll have approximately $4 million in water, $3.5 in sewer, $185,000 in garbage. When you look at after 20 years, it's not like we're going to have $4 million sitting in the account. We're going to be spending this throughout the whole 20 years, maintaining, building, replacing as we go. An example, we have 8 lift stations left to enhance, replace, upkeep. If they're all $1 million, that's $8 million we need. If we need to do a third of that and the grants are covered the rest, we're looking at over $2.5 million that we need in reserves to cover that. The other thing is, if we do apply for grants, we have to prove that not only council agrees with the grants, but we have to show that we actually have our third of funding. So we have to show in our financial statements that it's there and usable, or we have to take out a loan. Loans can take up to 1 year or more, depending on the amount or what it's used for. Other considerations that I wanted to give to council, I wanted to express that we really want to budget now. We don't want to be taking out loans. An example that the mayor had explained was the water treatment plant. We took out a loan of $766,000. We paid over $500,000 in interest that we could have put towards something else. The other hot topic, of course, is water meters to create fairness. That is the only way that we are going to be able to have an elderly lady living on her own compared to a family of 5 with a swimming pool or a hot tub. We don't have that comparison to actually break out those rates right now in order to do that for them. It would have to be metered.
Ms. McKee, did we not have?
A total cost for water metering?
We have had a study done. It's approximately $1 million for the town.
Okay.
So again, if you're looking at grants, it's going to be $300,000 that we need.
300,000, okay.
The other aspect we were considering is biannual billings. We bill once in January, and residents get a discount of 8% if they pay by March 10th. That allows the village to have some capital funding to actually spend during the year. The other option is to do it by have half of the bill paid in January and then the other half in June. I looked at the cost for this. We had considered it would cost money with postage and administration, but I already sent out a reminder letter to everyone who hasn't paid by around June or July anyways, just to keep them up to loop and know that they're outstanding.
Councillor Blanchette.
Is there any way we could do a monthly payment for people that need to have that extended over a year? They could come in, set up, give 12 months worth of payments?
Absolutely. We couldn't do the billing on a monthly. That would be administration and postage for expenses. But anybody who wants to come in, we've worked with quite a few people, and they actually leave us post-dated checks that we take. We help them set up bill payments that come out on a monthly basis for them to help, and lots of them do that, especially with their taxes as well. And utilities are not due until the end of December, so there is no penalty for them. It's just a discount if they pay early.
Okay.
And we can still incorporate that into it.
Good, thank you.
Again, I had mentioned earlier, I am looking for a 2-year commitment from council for 2018-2019. One of the reasons is that it'll give us a little bit more data. We can review it again, see if we need to reconsider that rate. We're also hoping to have an asset management grant approved in January. If we get that, they will also be assessing some of our infrastructure and what needs to be replaced and when. So just as a comparison, Valemount I have at $788. I took last year's rates to compare. This came from Civic Info and it's only 2017 rates. I've highlighted Valemount, and then just down below is Prince George, is $1,137. So we have a difference of $349, essentially the same service, just a bigger community towers.
And I just wanted to interject here a moment. A reporter told me a little over a year ago that she paid $498 every 6 months, so obviously it's gone up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now it's over 500. Yeah. Councillor Reimer?
What strikes me about that list isn't Prince George, it's New Hazelton and Barrier.
And please note, some of these rates may be based on connection fees but it didn't say so. But yes, some of them are very high.
Yes.
If Barrier isn't totally on sewer, there's still septic in some areas of Barrier.
Yes, and there are some that are over $3,000 a year for water and sewer and garbage. Okay.
So whatever council decides tonight, we will be taking those recommendations and putting them into a bylaw for the fees and charges and updating those costs. That will come back at the next council meeting for first and second reading. Of course, the public will have another option to put forth any comments at that time.
Okay. And you have to have this done by what date?
This decision, it would be great if it was tonight. Only because we're running out of council meetings before
Yes.
the end of the year.
Okay.
Hey, Your Worship,
Yes.
just to add to that, so there's 3 council meetings left. So if we had first and second at one, and then third at another, and then final at a third, that would take them all out.
Okay.
If this was deferred for another meeting, we'd basically have to bring back a bylaw, and 2 meetings in a row would have to be passed.
We're
So,
going to provide more time, sorry.
yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Are there any other questions from council?
Yeah. Council, questions? Do you have anything you want to add, Mr. Administrator?
Just one thing, Your Worship, I just want to iterate the sewerage side. So keep it in mind, in 2018 and 2019, these increases are not actually building any capacity. It's just maintaining current service levels.
Okay.
So if any infrastructure is to fail in that time, there's still additional costs on top of that.
Okay.
That's it, Your Worship.
Okay. Councillor Reimer.
So we actually have, between water and sewer, $670,000 sitting in the bank?
Less than 230 for the lift station on Fifth Avenue.
Sorry?
Less than the 230,000 we're using for the Fifth Avenue lift station. All those expenses haven't come in yet, so we'll be using that towards that.
Okay, so we have how much then? About 400,000?
Correct.
What kind of interest are we getting on that?
I'd have to look, but it's invested in an MFA bond.
Is that offset the interest that we pay on 400,000?
That we pay if we took out a loan?
No, on the loan amount that we have, does our interest that we get on that reserve money cover what we pay?
The only interest that we're charged right now for the water treatment plant, I'd have to look at that, but we do collect interest off of that. It would never accumulate to $500,000.
Follow-up question, a
Yes.
couple of them. If we were to pay down our loan and pay ourselves the interest that we pay down on the loan, rather than pay it out to somebody else, how easy would it be to get that $400,000 back if we needed it?
I'd have to look at what the stipulation is to paying that loan down.
Your Worship.
Yes.
Just to add to that too, keep in mind, for us to take out a loan can take up to a year. So if we had an infrastructure failure in that time, there's no immediate cash flow. So we'd have a gap, which would be my concern with that.
Yes, okay.
One follow-up question. So we couldn't, Mr. Administrator, negotiate a line of credit that we could easily have available with MFA?
I'm not sure with that, Your
I'm
Worship.
not sure about
Yeah.
that either, councillors. And not only that, we don't go directly to the Municipal Finance Authority. We work through the Regional District of Fraser Fort George.
Correct.
Yeah,
Any loan we take out needs a
that's
regional
right.
district
It
approval.
has to go through the Regional District.
I'm just trying to
Yeah,
save us.
no, I know, I understand, I understand. Yes,
Take it back when we need it.
yeah. Okay.
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, council? Yes, Councillor Salt.
Not so much a question, but thank you for breaking it down and presenting like this. It's quite clear and easy to understand, and it's also very scary knowing what we have to do to be prepared, but thank you so much for
You're
that.
welcome.
Councillor? And anybody else have any remarks or questions? Councillor Blanchette?
Wanted to thank you again, because this, visually, we all understand, and we have to maintain the level of service that we're providing. We don't have a choice, we have to.
There's nothing more essential or important than safe water and safe sewer for a municipality. All we have to do is look back a few years to Walkerton, where they got toxicity in their water system, and I think about 12 people died. Okay, so at least I think it was that number. I'm not saying for sure, but it wasn't just one or two or three. Okay.
Even one is too much.
That's right, that's right. And I don't think that anyone would want to take the responsibility of trying to cut back on a few dollars, $5 a month, and have something tragic occur. Okay. So, if council has no more questions, are you ready to make a motion? Okay, Councillor Reimer?
I'll move. Increase the rate by 9.5%.
Okay. And a seconder, Councillor Blanchette. Is there any discussion on this?
And I'll make the motion the way it's written. Increase the utility water rate by 9.5%, utility sewer rate by 9.5%, and the solid waste rate by 3%.
Okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Yes?
Sorry, Your Worship,
Mr. Administrator, you have something to say then?
Yeah,
Now?
just hoping for,
Okay.
just for the 2-year increase, 2018 and 2009 fiscal years?
Yes, 2019, yes. Okay. And did you have anything, or that
That's it,
was
Your
it?
Worship. That was it.
Okay, that's good. Okay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Carried. And thank you, Ms. McNee, for making it so clear. And I would hope that the media reports it correctly so that people understand that it's only $5 a month. And when you compare it to other municipalities, not only in British Columbia, but I spoke to family in Saskatchewan today, and theirs is much, much higher. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I should also like, before we go on to the next agenda item, to think about having water meters. If we could get a grant for 2/3, if somehow we could raise $300,000 so that water meters could be installed throughout the community and make it more fair for charges.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We'll put it on our wish list.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. And agenda 9.2, recommendation that the progress report submitted by Mr. Tommaso Alberti regarding Valemount Glacier Destination Resort be received. Okay, Salt and Reimer. And is there any discussion? Yes.
Very nice to see this. I think it just helps let everyone know that there is a lot of activity happening behind the scenes.
That's right.
That
That's right.
it's not that nothing's happening. There is a lot of work that they're doing
Yes.
to get the fine details figured out.
Yes, and stop some of the negative rumors that are.
Really appreciated Mr.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Alberti's time.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor of receipt? Carried. 9.3, Columbia Basin Trust Housing Initiatives. Recommendation that Mr. Mark Brunton, manager of the Columbia Basin Trust Housing Initiatives, be invited to meet with council and present the Housing Initiative Strategic Framework for 2016-17 to 2019-20, developed by CBT. Okay, Blanchette and Salt. And I spoke with Mr. Brunton quite a few months ago now, and he has been in touch with a client with whom Mr. Gislimberti is working. So I've given his name and phone number out to a few people, and I'm looking forward to his presentation to us. Yes, Councillor.
I'm wondering if it would be prudent to invite the Housing Committee to join us for that meeting?
We can talk to Mr. Brunton first and Mr. Gislimberti. Okay? Good. Did we vote? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And agenda 9.4, proposed airport expansion and relocation of Valemount Glacier Destination Resort Access Road. Recommendation 1, that council supports the future expansion of the Valemount Airport and the relocation of the proposed access road to accommodate the potential Valemount Airport expansion. So if I could have a motion, please, for discussion, Blanchette and Reimer, and it's open for discussion. Does anybody have any councillors want to remark on this? Mr. Davey, do you have anything further you want to add?
Nothing further, Your
Nothing
Worship.
further? Okay. I'll call the question, and all in favor? Carried. And recommendation 2, that staff be directed to compose a letter to the Regional District of Fraser-Fort George Board of Directors requesting a letter of support for both the Valemount Airport expansion and the relocation of the access road. Okay, Blanchette and Salt. Any discussion? Hearing none. Oh, Councillor Torgerson.
Just hope that there's going to be another option found with the Pine Road access. There's optimum construction material beyond that point.
And you discussed that with the administrator, did you? Okay, thanks. Did you have anything you wanted to add here?
Nothing further at the time, Mr. Worship.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. And agenda item 9.5, recommendation that the 2017 quarterly budget report, January to September, be received for information. Okay, Torgerson and Reimer. Any discussion, comments? Thank you for the information. You've been busy, Miss. All in favor? Carried. And agenda item 10.1, Village of Valemount permissive tax exemption bylaw number 774. You're recused.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and recommendation 1, that the Village of Valemount permissive tax exemption bylaw number 774, 2017 be adopted. Blanchette and Salt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Recommendation 2, that the Village of Valemount... Oh,
Sorry, Worship,
sorry, we
yeah.
can bring Councillor Torgerson back. He heard the gavel go.
Nice and crisp.
Okay. And we're on recommendation 2, that the Village of Valemount Council acknowledges that the Valemount Lands flood property information has changed to parcel identification number 030-232-198, Lot A, Plan E, PP 68609, Roll 252.500, and is still subject to the original exemption stated within the Village of Valemount permissive tax exemption bylaw number 774, 2017. Councillor Reimer and Councillor Torgerson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Okay, agenda item 10.2, Village of Valemount Council Remuneration Bylaw number 775, 2017. Recommendation that the bylaw be adopted. Okay, Torgerson and Salt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 10.3, Village of Valemount Local Area Service Parcel Tax Bylaw number 776, 2017. The recommendation is that the Village Local Area Service Parcel Tax Bylaw number 776, 2017 be adopted. Okay, all 4. So I'll take Blanchette and Salt this time. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Council reports. I'll start with Councillor Torgerson this time.
Thank you.
How's that?
On this, let's go back in time here. On the 13th to the 15th, traveled to Kimberley for the Columbia Basin Symposium. And on the 17th, I was here at the office for a utilities working group. And I'm here before you now.
Thank you.
My report's in with the agenda, so if there's any questions, I'm happy to field those.
I read it. Yes, thank you. And so, Councillor Salt.
My goodness. On the 17th as well, the council working group meeting for utilities and budget planning. And today had a very nice and informative update from the University of Northern British Columbia, the Northern Medical Program. And really interesting to see and hope to see those percentages of students coming back and staying in the north continue to rise. I was really happy to see that. And we had a couple of our 2 students attend that meeting as well, a nurse practitioner and I can't remember what the other student was practicing, but really exciting to see their progress and their dedication to the north. So I really enjoyed that, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Reimer?
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed the meeting on the 17th. I had an auditor in my office for 2 days.
I bet you would have preferred to be with us.
I would have. But today at lunch, I joined with yourself, Your Worship, and with Councillor Salt, and we were at the meeting with University of Northern British Columbia update on the Northern Medical Program. And like you said, it was very encouraging to see the numbers of doctors and health practitioners of all kinds that are practicing, that are coming out of that program, and their desire to make it more available to students from all over the north.
Thank you. Councillor Blanchette.
I had the meeting on the 17th with everybody else, and I had tons of emails. That's it.
Okay, that's good. All right, well, I too attended the luncheon today with Dr. Paul Winwood, and I am regularly in touch with Sonia Kruger from UNBC program, and whenever they do have a student here, she always emails me, and I do spend a little bit of time with them, take them out to lunch or coffee or just meet and chat for a while. And I'm also very pleased at the success that the Northern Medical Program, because I was one of the founding board members of the Northern Medical Trust. And I believe it was 2003 that Dr. Jago asked me to be the honorary it's a fundraising, annual fundraising, their campaign. And we raised quite a bit of money that year, and I am also very pleased to see that there is funding made available for those in our region and other areas that would come to UNBC for them to pursue studies, medical studies. Yeah, very pleased to see that. And as well as the utilities budget meeting last week, and the Columbia Basin Trust board meeting with the committees, as well as the symposium that Councillor Torgerson attended. It was very informative and very interesting and highly encouraging. I think it was motivational too. Yes, so I was pleased to see that there were about 5 people there from Valemount, including myself.
Including yourself, 6.
Yes, including myself, 6. So that was very interesting. And I did want to comment at this time. I know Mayor Mary Giuliano from Fernie, and I don't know if everyone is aware of the tragedy that they had there, 3 deaths from the ammonia leak in the arena. There were 2 public works staff in Fernie, as well as someone who I believe came from Calgary to work there. And last Saturday afternoon and evening, I met a staff person from Calgary. She is environmental science and looking to move to Valemount, but she was in Fernie to do some research on this. And so I would entertain a motion that we write, that the Village of Valemount sends an official letter of condolence to the, is it the district or the city of Fernie? Town of Fernie? City?
City of
Fernie, okay. And so if I could get a motion for that, I would appreciate it. Reimer and Salt. All in favor? Carried. Okay, I think that's it. Yes, thank you. I would like a motion then that all of the reports be received. Blanchette and Salt. Any questions of anyone? No? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Agenda item 13.1. Outstanding council resolutions and project file tracker. Recommendation that list of outstanding previous resolutions in the project file tracker be received. Blanchette and Torgerson. Anything that council wishes to bring forward?
Staff are busy.
Oh, they certainly are. They certainly are. Okay, all in favor? Carried. And a motion, please, to receive the calendar of events for October and November 2000. Oh, there's no motion required on that. Okay, agenda item 15.1. Public comments on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to make any comment? Okay, good. 16.1, notice to proceed to an in-camera meeting. Recommendation that council proceed to an in-camera council meeting for consideration of 4 items per section 91C, I, J, and K of the Community Charter to discuss matters related to labor relations or other employee relations, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages and that, in view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. Motion, please. Blanchette and Salt. All in favor? Carried. Okay. That was a mouthful, eh? That was a real mouthful.
It's a good meeting.